thank you for having me here, and thank you for doing all these videos for us. And I'm glad to be here to share my experience and opinions with everyone.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. In fact, this is the second time we meet, right? For everybody who
Yes.
doesn't know. So the first time we did was on another platform called Festivals of India, and you were the first one that time crowdfunding for Tira's, treatment.
Correct. That was
And
back in 2020 December, I believe. The first
2020,
Christmas,
absolutely.
Tira's first Christmas.
Absolutely. And a lot has happened since. So, Priyanka, like I was telling you offline, I could be a little ahead in terms of the age of my child compared to you, but pretty much, both our children have SMA. Tira's, degree of SMA is much severe, and hence, I saw you going through that whole struggle of trying to raise funds for her, which you were brilliant. Both you and Mihir did a brilliant job. I think it made people like us believe that something like this is possible. But again, we had our own journeys, right? So you've had your own journey with crowdfunding. I'm having my own, and I really didn't want to focus on that in this discussion. I think what I have been experiencing was generally the loss of inclusivity in my environment, with or my connect with the society as far as chaos acceptance went over the years. And somewhere, with these new treatments coming in place where the lifeline is being stretched, children are getting that hope to live. The only thing that worries me is what happens, to our children. How will they fit into the society, which is so sort of stiff up already, right? In matters of not being too inclusive, not being too empathetic to regular people. Forget about people with differently, or rather with the special abilities. But even for regular people, it is a difficult space where there is struggle in almost every aspect of their lives. Mental health, bolo, yeah, whatever it is, gender inequality, bolo, etc. So, bringing your perspective into this topic, Priyanka, what have you thought of or summed up to share with us today on the subject of having an inclusive and empathetic society around us?
So I think when we came to know about Tira's condition and everything, I know we don't want to talk about campaign, but our journey started with it. So I'm going to start with that. We earlier started with our campaign. The main goal was to collect funds for her treatment and everything. But our campaign ended more than 2 years back. And our page, our Instagram page is still on. And we continued at that point. Our only thing was that we need to continue talking about SMA. People need to know more about the condition. Like, it is not just a word or just a limited things that happened with Tira. It is lot more and beyond that. The more people know, the more people will accept. And because her funds were collected, her treatment was done, by that time I had a little idea that people had accepted her for what she is. But more people need to come in, join in. And it's not just Tira, it is so many other kids out there. So our only thing was we need to keep talking about it. The society needs to understand more. The more they see, the more they will understand. It's not just me saying something, them hearing. That's not how people understand. But over the past 2 years, the way we've posted about Tira's videos, her journey, her improvement and everything, they are getting an idea of what the treatment does or what the condition is, how severe it can get. And even with the condition, accepting her for who she is. That was our only motive behind keeping it
Which is a
on.
brilliant thing, and I need to congratulate you both for doing this, because a lot of people I've seen, a lot of the other successful campaigns I've seen, they have gone silent. Very, 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 very few people do post here and there, but most of them, sort of put an end to their, campaigns.
But that also I would like to add, it is hard taking care of a child, treatment or not, with all the symptoms and conditions every day, and then taking out time, making even a smallest post. It's hard, it's very hard. um, it takes a lot of effort to do
I
that.
agree.
But what we have realized, it at that time we did not think that there were so many kids out there. At that time we thought there might be 10, 15, since it was a rare condition. That's what we were told. But then after a campaign ended, I think within 6 months I had spoken to more than 50 kids. 50 kids parents had reached out to me, and there are many more who reached out to me in the last 2 years. I can't do much with fundraising or all of that, but with care, what all experiences that I have gone through with Tira, what care can be taken. And when we came to know about Tira's condition, there were no such pages out there in India. Nobody that I could ask questions about. I had too many of them. My head was filled with questions. Nobody to answer them. At least this page is on, so that if there are any other parents out there who have just found out that a child has a condition, what to do, how to take precautions, because precautions is more important. It's more important than treatment, I believe. It prolongs the condition, the timeline for the child. Care is very, very important. So if I can share my experiences and how to take care of a child through there, that helps someone else, I'm doing my share by doing at least that much.
Absolutely, Priyanka, you nailed it there. I have, in fact, this campaign's tagline is that precaution is the key, right? Because
Correct.
when you come on the other side and you have a child with a condition like this, whose cost of the treatment is running into crores, tell
Correct.
me which parent would want to be in our shoes? Nobody. Nobody, right? Nobody. I mean, that should be nightmarish enough for people to realize that how important the level of or creating awareness about the disease is, and not just how to take care of a child with SMA. Or I think it starts with even the genetic counseling of couples
Correct.
nowadays, even before you start planning a family. It
Hmm.
starts, but the injection needs to happen at that level where not just SMA, but a couple needs to qualify whether they are medically fit for having children, and against any diseases, and
Correct.
and check for any diseases for that matter. It could be Down syndrome, it could be any spectrum of autism to SMA to
Correct.
dystrophy to so many. There are endless variety of like they say rare diseases in the world today, and somehow it feels like the mutations are just going from place to place with genes, right?
They
Where
are increasing, the
yeah.
numbers are increasing like crazy. And I completely agree with your point. I don't know how it's going to happen. I'm really hoping it happens. But at least for now, we could have newborn screening in India, is what I think.
Absolutely, and
um,
it doesn't take too much of an effort.
it
Nobody
doesn't,
doesn't. It just
because the
requires the
test that
government.
happened with
Yeah,
Tira 2 months down the line, she wasted 2 months of her time, and with her severe condition, she lost a lot of strength in that time.
yeah,
If the
yeah.
same thing would have happened 2 months earlier, I keep thinking that she went on a
Absolutely.
ventilator and a month later she got her treatment. What if I would have saved those 2 months of
Two
time with
months.
newborn screening? Her precautions, her care would have started since
Exactly.
the first week itself.
Exactly.
Doctors would have informed me everything about how the condition is, what it is, and we
Hmm.
would have taken care of her that
Exactly.
way.
I
There
think in
are
a country like ours where polio became so widely campaigned, right?
correct.
And it became like a mass campaign where Amitabh Bachchan spoke, he became the brand ambassador from UNICEF, and it got accepted and normalized to the extent that today we don't have too many polio cases at all,
In fact, we
Hmm.
have door-to-door service. Tira, in fact,
Exactly.
earlier it was like you had to take your child to the nearest center and get the polio dose. I kept
Hmm.
thinking that I could get rest of the vaccines, but polio has to be from the government. They have to provide it to her. How am I going to manage that
Right.
with her on a tube in her neck with a ventilator?
Hmm.
And they were at my doorsteps. I mean, they have normalized it so much. The
Exactly.
same thing should happen with
That's
us
the
as well.
only thing probably people like us should keep talking about whenever we get a forum, that please help screen, please help detect these diseases at newborn level, at marital counseling level, probably even after diagnosis. We need counseling even at different levels, right? कि अभी
Correct.
आगे क्या करना है?
That, but also for a parent's mental health. I think
Yeah,
in all of that, we focus so much that there is muscle weakness, there's physical weakness, that we keep ignoring the mental health of the child as well as the parent. The
absolutely.
caregiver also goes through a lot, and that is with my personal experience, I say. And
Hmm.
when you have a small child or any age child,
Hmm.
it impacts. If a parent's mental health is disturbed, it impacts the child automatically. So
Absolutely, yeah.
for us
Absolutely.
to have a stable head and a proper mindset is very important for our child to have a good mindset.
I'm going to now pull you directly into this subject, right?
Hmm.
This lack of inclusivity that at least I felt. Why mental health counseling becomes so critical, and not just critical for parents of children with SMA, but basically people of all backgrounds and from any genre of life, right? Because
Correct.
mental health is a byproduct of the of your uh, let's say problem with fitting into your society, or
Correct.
the kind of treatment that you get met with, right? From different aspects of your life, from different sections of your own community or society in general. These issues do not just arrive, or they don't get derived because of physical fatigue. Mental fatigue is always because of many, many other external reasons, which is
Correct.
beyond the cause. Here, the cause is not our children. Let me tell you
No,
that the
it's not.
cause is never our children, whether a child is normal or they could be differently able with XYZ diseases. But the stimulus is always an external stimulus.
Correct.
Okay, and that is where I felt somewhere talking about this, because imagine if we are facing it as parents of these children, what will these children face when they reach our society, our age group? Let's say if they grow up
Correct.
and they grow up to live with this condition, and normal children are facing it, that agar marks kam milta hai exam mein, the child is being compelled to hang themselves from the ceiling, right? What will our children face at the end of the day?
Correct.
Just think
So,
of it from that perspective.
so
And
with mental health, I would say, as you said, your point is completely valid. It is not our child. With me, I would talk with my personal experience. Uh, I got more disturbed because before Tira, I was working and I love working. I was more like a workaholic. If I sit for working, I can sit on for hours and work. And then all of a sudden, it was Tira, the campaign, and I stopped working, taking care of her. Automatically, became my priority. I do
right,
not regret leaving my job, but then um, if there has to be a timeline or time management for everything, taking care of your child, taking care of yourself, giving a me time that gives you a relief, a stress relieving thing for yourself. So because I would miss out on that stress relieving thing, that was more like a build up and a mental disturbance for me, because it wasn't me time. It wasn't that I had to take care of Tira and she was taking all my time. That wasn't disturbing me at all. The minute I started giving myself that 1 hour, 2 hours of my time, I do whatever I like. Maybe it could be just watching TV or going for a walk or anything. That did help me, made me happier. And the minute I was happier, it automatically transferred to Tira and she was more happier. So, those stress levels, those managements need to be done. And as you said, it is not always our kids, it is also a lot of other things that are involved. It's a slow build up that happens over the years. That's why, we need to talk to professionals about this. And whenever you say, we are going to a mental health checkup or anything, that mindset of other people is also different. What is disturbing you, what's so wrong with you, is
something
the blame
wrong with you,
automatically,
yeah.
it goes on the condition, on the
I
child
know.
and all. I'm like, that's not the reason. I am trying to find time for myself, and that is more disturbing.
I swear.
So
Very well said, Priyanka, because somewhere I feel people think we get a lot of sympathy already, right? Because of parenting a child with, a different condition than a normal child has. And somewhere, and this is something that I get met with very, Monica, you're already getting, everybody saying aha and oho and how sad. Our children don't get that. Our children are
I
just,
don't do.
no, no, I'm just telling you,
I I
this is another
I don't
perspective.
even get when people say you're doing a wonderful job. I mean,
Hmm.
I accept the compliment with all heart and I'm very happy for it. But I'm just taking care of my own child.
Exactly, right?
Condition or
Hmm.
no, I would have done the same thing.
Right,
A
absolutely.
lot of people tell me, it would have been so nice if she was normal. She
Hmm.
is normal. For me, she is my first child, my only child. I Raising her is the only way I know how to parent a kid. I don't know
Exactly.
any other way out of it.
Probably Tira has taught you the best parenting, methodologies than any other child could have ever taught you, because what you are doing right now is not just parenting her, but you are leading by example. Now, in which experience of parenting, tell me, regular parenting, does a parent get to lead by example? Not many. Not many. You don't get to touch lives. Okay, you don't
No.
get to touch lives, you don't get to make an impact. But I think that is where people do not realize that when parents like us still make time to get out there and do our bit to create some amount of difference, right? We are only trying to ensure that that the person, whoever is listening to us, doesn't have to go through what we are going through. right? We have
Exactly.
that level of empathy, Priyanka. And somewhere people feel that no, we are busy trying to live with this empathy, and we're getting a lot of support, from out of this empathy that we get, we're
Correct.
getting a lot of support, which is not right. Because trust me, honestly, everybody has a struggle. Everyone has a
Correct.
struggle, whether the
Correct.
person has some condition, not no condition themselves, or anybody in the family. Today, in this world outside, you step out of the door, and the city like Bombay, right? There's congestion on the road. There is a train which is fully packed. Public transport is inaccessible for even people who can walk and get into them. So today we are not talking about being differently abled or not differently able.
Correct.
That's the second part of our subject altogether. We are talking about how the society is becoming more and more plastic to containing the empathy levels that are required, because we know each other's struggle, but yet we do not want to take time out to be able to forget about a mental health counselor. We need to go to experts today because we don't have a listener in another person, a closest friend,
Correct.
right? How often does let's say any of our friends call up and they say, okay, you know what, Priyanka, let's just talk. Let me just say something to you, and you listen to me, and I listen to you. I don't have these conversations anymore.
Neither
I
do
don't
I.
know
I think it's been months that
exactly.
I've
So
done something like that.
it's like a virus in the society. People lack time for their basics, leave alone having time for anything else. And somewhere in this whole wheel spinning, we need to stop and ask this question: ki, where are we heading? Because in the same society is where we will be dumping all our children. And
Correct.
these children are being born with differences, and somehow they have to coexist. They have to empathize with each other. And our children also might need financial independence, educational independence,
Correct.
health independence, right? And these are big things. The access to treatment is one side of our lives, but what
In
happens to
fact, I
the
would like to add it's a very small part of the whole picture. Very
exactly
small. Because
exactly
I've got a lot of these feelings from other parents to, your child has treatment, so everything is sorted out for you. It is not. The main journey, the main, the fight started after her treatment. The care
Hmm.
that I had to go, going to different specialists, taking care of her the right way.
Yeah, it's
That
going to
was
be
a
there,
bigger challenge than I think the campaign and everything.
and it'll
So,
be there. It'll continue to be there for as long
correct,
as these children are going to be there, because they will need physical rehab. They might need mental health counseling. They will need education as well. and
correct,
some and those who have levels of SMA which permit them to work, they will need jobs as well. And this
correct,
is something that will get all of us to, I think, to the same level, where we feel differentiated, where we feel
hmm,
excluded, we feel like a rare disease community, which is what I was telling you, that these silos are just getting, too many. And somewhere the the medical classification or the garment classification is passing down to the mental classification, in the way people treat. And that is
correct.
where it needs to go. So anyway, Priyanka, my only I think 2 cents that I wanted, to share with you, and you share with me, is that I know it's too early in the day for you with Tira, but if you had to identify the lack of these basic elements in our society, right, which is where we all exist, what are the 2 or 3 things that you have been able to see around you? Leave alone, keep our children aside. Let us forget that we are, children of specially able children, parents of specially able children. But which are the other things that you notice in the society which has touched you in some way or the other, where you feel, there are differences in the way people behave with each other, etc.
With Tira, she has, like, in our house, she has always been the center of attention. So,
Hmm.
because everybody is focusing and just looking at her, she used to get very conscious, very,
Hmm.
very conscious about being around so many people and so many eyeballs on her and all.
Hmm.
She wouldn't like too many people around her. So I would constantly try to keep, even if inviting people over, keep a very limited group and a small
Hmm.
group. And, so that she's comfortable around it, she mixes with them and, feels
Hmm.
involved, more involved. And
Hmm.
normally the conversations are all about her condition, the campaign, how she's not improving, or how she's improving slowly, and has the treatment work, or there are statements I've got, oh, even such an expensive treatment did not do anything. um,
God.
I don't know how to explain it to her, the kind of change that treatment has got into her, or what has changed in the last 2 years, what I have seen.
Hmm.
It's difficult. I just nod and I'm like, okay, not the right time to
Hmm.
explain or give a speech because you're a guest at home. But
Hmm.
there are these one part, and there is another. Once we had been to a party where I got her into a stroller. She was sitting right there. I told them that don't give too much attention to her. Just treat her like you would treat me. Say hi and get into the conversation. We'll all get involved. And she loved it. Not
Hmm.
too many eyeballs on her. Nobody were talking too much about SMA, her condition, how physical issues are happening, and all of that. There was a normal conversation happening, and in like half an hour or 1 hour, Tira was involved. She was like a regular kid. She was showing where her eyes
Exactly.
are, where her nose is,
Exactly.
what
Hmm.
she can do, blinking her eyes, whatever best she knows, what she does with family, she started doing
Hmm.
with other people. And this, I'm not just talking about 5 6 people, there were like 12 to 15 people in the house, and she was performing in front of everybody. That was
Hmm.
like, that was my time. I was like, oh my god, I'm showing off my child. So it
Hmm.
wasn't SMA, condition, treatment, how much improvement,
Absolutely.
none of
Yeah.
that. I myself am very tired of talking of all those things. I want to
Hmm.
talk further. Her
Hmm.
academics, how smart
Hmm.
she is, what all she knows, what all she can do. And
Exactly.
because people were more interested in knowing all of that, she wanted to show them. And I saw that
Hmm.
pleasure on her face. And
Right.
because of the tracheostomy and all, she cannot vocalize. But with her signs, we've taught her sign language. With her signs, she could
Hmm.
explain it to those people whom she was meeting for the first time what she meant. And
Right.
she
Right.
was 2 year old.
Hmm. So
So
even they
it's
understand.
this mindset of those
Yeah.
group of people, just two group of people, the way they behaved with her,
And
that
her
completely changed
reaction.
her behavior. And then it did not
Absolutely.
matter if it was 4 people around her or 20.
Hmm. Exactly. In fact, this reminds me when Kia was born and diagnosed. Obviously, that time there was no crowdfunding, no treatment, nothing. I think till the time we started talking about when did we really start talking about Kia's SMA? Was only when I started crowdfunding.
Hmm.
Otherwise, it was, remember, even the first time we met, I wasn't talking about Kia much. We were, just talking about the crowdfunding and,
Correct.
about how the treatment and all of that.
No, in fact, I
So,
remember we were discussing how Tira and Kia look similar. They are pink
yeah,
dresses, and uh,
yeah,
because I mean, for us, uh, at some point, I realized SMA can't be my whole life or her
it
whole life.
cannot. It
It
is
is
not
just a
actually.
part
Yeah,
of it. And
yes.
there was a stage where I was like, one of us has cholesterol, one of us has diabetes, she has SMA, big deal. It's
Hmm,
okay. We all
hmm,
have to take medicines, we all have to do our exercises, we all have to stay healthy. And that's
absolutely.
all she is doing to get better. So we all have to
Hmm.
do. Maybe she'll have six pack abs by doing physiotherapy
You
every day.
never know. Exactly. She'll be
So,
more in shape than anybody else for all you know.
so
Exactly.
um, because if I keep, constantly thinking about SMA, 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 that is how she's going to grow up into constantly
Yes.
thinking about it. That
Yes.
that is just a medical condition. It's a very, very, very small part of her. If she has to get
Exactly.
independent in life, she has to focus on her academics, her studies, what she
and
likes, her
and how to
hobbies.
live and how to live with this condition. I think that is what
Exactly.
we are talking about.
And
If
also to how to behave in a society, because you're going
absolutely.
to meet all kind of people with different mindsets. Just
Hmm.
because we are talking today trying to create awareness, the society is not going to change over, just in a month or in a year. It is going to
Hmm.
take its time. So in
Hmm.
that time she's going to meet a lot of people out there. So how is she going to,
I think that
behave?
that
How
is
is she going
very
to
well said.
manage herself? And
Absolutely.
with dignity, without losing
Absolutely.
herself in the right way. And I have
Absolutely.
realized for her to do that, I need to have that mindset. And as I said,
Absolutely.
I have not spoken much about inclusivity and acceptance in society, because right now I myself am trying to figure out
No,
the
you
right
don't need
way
to
to do
speak
it.
about this with your children, which is where I think people find it difficult to accept, even within the community. I'm saying this is not what our children need to be taught.
Correct.
Priyanka, we need to teach this to the others that that our children can
Correct.
be included, right?
Correct.
We need empathy, we don't need sympathy,
Correct.
right? And that is where please raise your bar of understanding. We are not asking you to sympathize with the, and do everything out of sympathy for us, right? And
Yeah,
somewhere at the end of the day, we are there today, we're not going to be there tomorrow. But after
correct,
us, or when we are weak physically, when we are not able to do what we are doing today, these children are going to take over, and somewhere they need to be treated equally. And it
correct,
could be the case with a child with Down syndrome, it could be a child with a physical form of a disability, could be somebody who's deaf and dumb, but they all need place in the society. Yeah, the society is not made up of people who are fully able-bodied.
correct,
Nowhere will you see a society which is perfect 100%, no part of the world. But people have learned how to work around making everybody a part of it. You go to US, you go to UK, you have an inclusive society to a greater extent, because there the government themselves have made systems, put infrastructure in place. The schools are more inclusive, the workplace have
correct,
more friendlier environments than it is here in India. And India also is going to get there, provided
correct.
we all start thinking and talking about it. Now, if I have to get your attention to this one aspect of what would you want for Tira eventually? Now, you're working with her closely, you're seeing the improvement. What is it that you want for her as a mother, as a parent, for this child to grow up? And don't and forget about the timelines, how long our life is going to be
No,
for.
I have not given her a
Never think
timeline.
of
She
it.
can
Never
take
think of
10
it.
years or 20
Exactly.
years. That is up to
Exactly.
her. There is no
Exactly.
timeline on getting improvement. It is a lifelong thing. I
Exactly.
think even after she learns to walk or run, maybe someday,
Hmm.
she has to do her physiotherapy. She has to go to her doctor. She has to get, because SMA is a condition that is going to stay with her for life. So
Hmm.
even if today that, in that time, years later, she doesn't show symptoms or anything, she has to take care of herself and she has to get into that
Absolutely.
routine.
Right.
And when you ask me as a mother what I'm hoping for in the future, I am not thinking too much about it, because as I said, I'm scared when I'm not there what could happen. So I'm focusing more on present, working on present to get her to a stage where she is independent and happy. That's all I want from her. She will decide who she wants to be. She will decide what her opinions are, what her decisions are, what she wants to be in life, where she wants to go. That's all up to her. I don't decide for her.
This department, the meteorological department, right? The weather department. Now, earlier, when we were young kids, there was no reporting system. Sorry, I'm deviating from the conversation. Okay, so
Correct.
they never had a reporting system. Ki there is a cyclone coming, there is a flood coming, yeah, there's a calamity coming. So we obviously got met with the calamity, and then people were rescued. Okay, so there were rescue operations, and बहुत सारा damage हो जाता था, lives would be lost, property would be lost, and those kind of things. But if you see now, and with climate change happening the way it is, people started realizing that the scale of the calamity is increasing, right? Everywhere
Correct.
there are bigger cyclones and bigger floods and so on and so forth. So they devised these, warning systems. Technology was brought into place, and satellites were set up, radars were set up, and now you have mechanisms where 3 to 4 days pehle se hi you get to know where the cyclone is going to
Correct.
hit. For example, let's just stick to one example. So, and then people would be evacuated, sheltered. I think the systems have taught people to take your essentials. Take the most essential things that you need, and go get yourself rescued. And I
Correct.
see, and I'm just drawing a parallel there, Priyanka, and I'm just saying that suppose we are a community which is, I think it's like we're sitting on a ticking bomb, and
Hmm.
we're just waiting for a calamity to strike. We don't have our radars, sensitive enough, and we are not really envisioning what can happen in the future. Because I'll also tell you why. Somewhere, maybe because we were told our children will not survive. For
Correct.
many years, we were told that it's a life threatening condition. बच्चे आपके ज्यादा दिन रहेंगे नहीं, so it is important that you spend quality time with them.
Correct.
You focus on your now, and that's the conditioning that we have got for so many years. At least in my case, it's been multiple
Hmm.
years, right? But today, if you see what was 10 years back is not the same for me today.
Correct.
So I'm now hoping for a cure. I'm hoping to get Kia the access, and with that hope of survival comes what next?
Correct.
Somewhere I feel, if there is a hope, then there is a future. And if there is a future, we need to plan for that future. We need to figure out, okay, fine, now it looks like my job, my KRAs have sort of expanded as a mother. So what happens now is I'm thinking of, okay, how do I send Kia, to a workplace? Will she get a
Correct.
job? Education, chalo, sambhal liya. I fought with the system there, got her into the school, sensorized the school to build a ramp. That part is done. Now what happens is that how do I make her financially independent? Nahi to kya hone wala hai? I
Correct.
have two children. One children will feel burdened because of the other. So that ecosystem continues. My struggle will
Correct.
pass on to theirs. So that is where I feel this weather system analogy works, because today the only reason why, if you see, parents of other communities, especially with Down syndrome or with autism or with other diseases where lifeline is not challenged, but the living condition is challenged.
Correct.
These parents are coming out, in their communities, they are trying to discuss these kind of topics. And I feel we are no different, because why
Correct.
should we think short term? Just because we've been told that the disease is short term, it defines a lifeline. I don't think so. I think we need to live with hope, and a full hope, 100% hope
Correct.
that children are going to live for a very, very long time, right?
Hmm.
And somehow create a environment where these children can thrive. अगर कोई देने
Correct.
को ready है, ठीक है, हम लोग जाके मांगेंगे. But suppose we are not around and our children are not groomed enough, or groomed enough in a manner that they have a voice of their own, then
Correct.
Priyanka, I feel somewhere this simple act of caregiving is going to get limited to a physical comfort system only.
Correct.
We'll not be able to achieve more than that. And that is where I feel the disease is going to overtake, because it is a progressive condition, and the child will not be mentally prepared, to
Correct.
deal with it. Because if they're going to have mental health issues because of external and internal conditions, it's going to be a very, very difficult situation for them to be in. Which is why I feel, if you ask me the question, Ki Monisha, what are the few things that you would want for your child with SMA? I would say I want an equal opportunity for them to be educated, no matter what their condition, right? I would request systems to be in place where a child on a wheelchair with difficulty in holding up their neck, not being able to move their hands as much as the other children can, still get to study in a normal school, because our children are
Correct.
mentally normal, right? And they don't need special environments or special schools to be sent to. What they need is the school to give them special
To
acceptance.
accept them
Yes,
who
exactly.
exactly they are. I myself am going through that. As I said, I'm just new to it, just entering this
Mm,
phase. And Tira is at the age where she should be going to preschool, but because of her condition, now she's not. So I'm
right.
thinking of homeschooling, and I've spoken to you about that
Mm,
earlier.
mm, mm.
So I did meet with a special educator, how can we go ahead with it? And that tutor herself told me that, she's a smart kid. Even if she
Absolutely.
cannot vocalize, she uses her gestures, her hands, and she understands everything. Her grasping power
Absolutely.
is amazing. She picks up things very quickly and she understands and responds. She
Mm,
just needs a regular tutor who can understand and teach her the way she wants it.
right.
So we
Why
don't
not?
need
Yeah.
anything different.
Mm,
We
mm.
just need that little help that can support our child to, go to a regular school, be accepted who
Absolutely.
they are.
And trust me, Priyanka, this is going to show you results much faster than the treatment will. Till Kia was about 4 years old, she didn't develop speech. We thought she needed speech therapy, she needed occupational therapy, and all these things. And people started telling me that Monisha, send her to a special school. Maybe there she'll get the special attention that is required. And then I met Dr. Nirupama Rao. She's also given she's come on this series. And Nirupama Rao was the first special educator who told me, Ki Monisha, no, send her to a normal school. And I was in Powai that time, so I approached Hiranandani School. That's when Ira was studying. And I convinced the principal, Ki, ma'am, please give her 6 months. It'll be difficult, but I'll give you a shadow maid, and the child will
Correct.
be taken care of, so you don't have to worry. But she will not be able to speak because she's not developed speech. Within 3 or 4 months, Priyanka, of Kia going into that school, she got that social environment which with the other
Correct.
normal children. Kia started picking up words, she started picking up speech, she started writing, she started doing so many things which probably I would have not been able to do if I was treating her exceptionally, at home or in any other special environment.
Correct.
These things matter, I feel. This is also a part of the treatment.
Correct.
Normalizing them is also a part of the treatment.
That's what the special educator told me, that, she's a smart kid. She can pick up things very easily. She understands everything what you say. And especially she told me that she shouldn't be amongst other kids because she picks up behavioral manners very quickly. The way the other kids behave, you don't want that. You want her to be among those regular normal kids, so that
Yes.
she starts behaving that way, because right now she's like a soft clay. She's going to mold into whatever you make her into. So right now we are at that stage trying to find a good tutor for her. Right now my only option, because of lack of neck hold and everything, is at home.
I started with throwing, birthday parties for Kia. And because Kia's birthday parties did not have physical games,
Correct.
where she could participate, because that was a big thing, right? People would say,
Correct.
oh, if I invite her, she'll feel left out. And I still get that. No problem. So what I started doing is I started having art parties, art parties in the sense where the child has to just sit and draw, you know,
Correct.
बैठ के drawing करो, सब लोग बैठ के सब लोग बैठ के drawing करो. Over the years, I have been so shameless that I taught Kia how to dance on the reels. I taught her how to participate in a sports day. I've gone to all those
I
lengths.
do agree with Tira also. Sometimes I feel that if not for the
Yeah,
condition, she would have been a very hyperactive kid.
yeah,
She
you can
doesn't
see
even
that,
stop for
right?
a second. There is constantly something going on in her head. She constantly
Yeah.
wants to do something. Sometimes I'm like, let's take a minute. Let's not do anything for a minute. It is not physical, it's just
I
mental.
know,
Just stop. It's like
I know.
it's like that.
I
And
swear.
Touchwood, Tira also has cousins who are her age. So right now, with not being able to go to play groups, but we have like play dates at home. They all are 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds. So it is more like, let's all lie down with Tira. Let's have fun.
Exactly.
So everybody is just lying down. Or
Hmm.
whenever Tira is in her chair, and something about Tira, like if just there's one child with her and if she's made the kid laugh, she'll keep doing that. She likes to make people laugh. So
Hmm.
that is her thing. She wants laughter, she wants happiness, and
Absolutely.
just a regular kid.
Somewhere, Priyanka, you'll have to be that weatherman for her. That's all I'm
Yeah,
trying to say. You'll have to be that weatherman. Think for her maybe a few years in advance. I think
correct.
this exercise of parenting, especially parenting with children children with this condition or rare conditions or any condition for that matter, requires parents to think a little ahead. Not for any
Correct.
other reason. It's because nobody else will.
Even our kids ourselves, like the way
Hmm.
you are talking, you're trying to create awareness, the talks you're having, I'm sure Kia is going to continue that, because she's
Yes.
watching you do. Kids are
Yes,
going to follow your footsteps. They would want to
exactly.
do, like with me also, I sometimes want to do what my parents have done.
Somewhere I feel we can only lead by example to a certain extent,
Correct.
but the children will feel empowered the moment they see that level of acceptance, that level of
Correct.
normalization in their environment, and that environment starts with home. It starts with their schools encouraging, and then eventually their workplaces encouraging, and that is all we want to create. And trust me,
Correct.
if as a parent we don't believe that our children are capable, nobody else can be made to believe that.
First the parent has to believe. When
Yes,
we
yes,
believe, our kids are going to believe that they are capable enough. They have to be proud of who
exactly.
they are. They have to be happy with who they are. They first have to
Absolutely.
accept who they are, and that is
Absolutely.
only when others will. If
Yes,
they are only grumpy about and trying to gather sympathy about their own condition,
that's
then
it.
things are not going to change. The society is not
Absolutely.
going to change. So first,
Absolutely.
our own mindsets have to change. Our kids'
Ab-
mindsets have to be set in the right direction, and that's
hmm.
when everything is going to change
Absolutely.
further.
And I think that process is where we can contribute. I don't think we can change the world. We can do these big, big things, right? But if we can empower our children, whatever be the kind, normal hai, nahi normal hai, it applies even for parents with, children, special children. We also need to give them the same,
Correct.
level of treatment we would give to our normal children, right? Today, if I'm empowering Naira, and I sometimes feel that I don't do that enough. If you ask me honestly, I don't empower Naira as much as I empower Kia. Because,
Correct.
I feel maybe Kia needs that extra bit of, help from me. But no, I started realizing that that is not going to work. Because if I am differentiating, and this is where I take full ownership of where I'm going wrong, sometimes I think parents with children of both kinds feel that the weaker child needs more attention, but
Correct.
that is not right. It's actually not right. The moment we create a normal environment, that's when the love and affection between the children of two kinds will increase. They will start treating each other with equality, and then they will go on to become better citizens in the country.
I agree with what you're saying, and it is very good that you are aware of it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Being ignorant and not accepting what is wrong is a bigger
Oh
problem.
yes,
Just
absolutely.
reaching to the point of acceptance, and because I'm pretty sure you're going to take care of it.
No, I better
So,
trust me. We are not. हम लोग कम criminal नहीं है when it comes to being overprotective about our children. And somewhere I feel parenting doesn't mean protecting children only, right? It is
no,
also
definitely.
not protecting them. It is also trying to teach them self-defense, trying to teach them a lot of self-adjustment mechanisms.
Correct.
But that I think this is a deep subject. It can go on, and it's been, I think, this month, when I embarked on this series, I told myself, SMA awareness, yes, but let's, through awareness, of this disease, also talk about how we can get this disease accepted, right, over a period of time. But Priyanka, is there anything else you would want to share? I've known you. I kind of, appreciate everything about, the way you've gone about with Tira's, upbringing, right from the time she was diagnosed till now. And I've seen that tenacity. And I think just continuously coming out, and through Tira, you're showing more parents like others, even parents of normal children, that how a child should be treated.
It's not a special uh, needs child or a regular need child. I believe every child has their own special needs. Even if
Hmm.
the child is walking around, they will have their special requirements, special
Absolutely.
care that they would need. So our children are no different. So I want to raise her just the way I was brought up, how my parents brought me
Hmm.
up, exactly the same way. There is no different. Like the point you were saying, there has to be a line. It's a thin line. You don't have to be pampering them too much also,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
not neglecting them too much as well. There is a
Hmm.
very thin line that you need to maintain. So
Right.
sometimes even because she doesn't have that physical strength, cannot reach up to a toy, and we just pick it up and give it in her hand.
Absolutely.
That becomes a
Absolutely.
habit. Then she would
Hmm.
just point at things and say, give me that, give me
Yes.
that, give me that. That's a bad
Hmm.
habit. I
Hmm.
shout at her, I say, you are no one special, put in your efforts, I've taught you, we've done exercises, at least go ahead 1 inch, the other inch I will
Yes.
help you with it. Next
Hmm.
time you go in 2 inches ahead, but you are not special. And I keep saying that to her, because other
Absolutely.
people keep saying, oh my god, you're such a special child. No, you're not special. You're just a
Hmm.
regular child. You're going to grow up into a regular child, a
Absolutely.
happy and an
Absolutely.
independent one. I don't want you filling your head up with trying to
Hmm.
find and grab
Yeah,
onto
and
sympathy. And
making her differentiate her own self, because
correct.
that's
And
where.
she's right now at a stage where she's going to learn and grab onto whatever she sees.
Hmm.
So you see and you hear what I am telling you, that
Yes.
you need to, she has to be in a right path now.
Absolutely. I think,
So
the only thing I can add to that is this is just something I've probably learned, is that if your child, and this is just a physical example, if your child is able to raise her hand only this much,
mhm,
right? Maybe we are able to raise this much, right?
correct.
So we have, and I'm an architect by profession, so I'm talking very technically right now. So we design our houses and our spaces so that we can create shelves at different level, and we can, reach out to things. But imagine if you had to design a space where everything that she needs can be accessed at her height, or,
Hmm,
or her level of reach. Maybe that is how you can, raise her more capably. That's all I'm
correct.
saying. It doesn't have to be because somebody has started designing houses where everything has to be kept at a height, storages have to be at a height, everything
Correct.
has to be at a height. Doesn't mean that that's how things have to always be, right?
Like
Yes.
when we
Hmm.
are decorating our home or even designing our own kitchen, if we
Hmm.
are tall, we set cupboards at a certain height, and if we are
Right.
short, we set it at a certain height. It is not about our kids or their strength to do something. It is even about us regular people. That is how
Hmm.
we manage, so that we can get around our routine in a very fast and quick manner. So
Right.
it is with everybody. So even
Hmm.
with our kids, if they have some kind of a limitation,
Hmm.
we set those things at those height and those levels where they can
That's
get
it.
around things and where they
Absolutely.
feel independent.
Absolutely. Yeah, the first thing I'll just add to this, the first thing that I did, before Kia's surgery was I was renovating my apartment. And I was renovating my apartment because I knew that, the wheelchair that she would use needed to be changed. It had to be reclining after the surgery. And because that's how she's going to be most of the time, asked me, why are you wasting money? You know, already you're crowdfunding for such an expensive treatment. I said, yes, but this is something I decided to do even before crowdfunding. If I ever had to come and stay and Kia had to undergo the surgery, right? Simple things, to make them independent today, I've broken all the walls in my house, every single wall except the ones that are necessary. I've broken them. I have a kitchen in which Kia can enter. I have made my toilet bigger so that Kia can enter and brush her teeth. I've increased the width of my door openings wherever Kia needs to go. And this is how I have made the space a little more inclusive. I don't have fancy center tables, nothing. It's just everything is along the sides of the walls. Dumped half my furniture because we don't need it. We need lots of books because we like to read, and Kia likes to read, but that's it. That's it's as simple as that, Priyanka. That's
We
all I'm
have done
saying.
exactly the same thing. We are just renovating our home, and all we bought is one sofa and an open space and
That's all.
everything that can be moved around. Because if in future Tira is like now she sits on a stroller, tomorrow if she needs
Hmm.
a wheelchair, she should be
Yes,
able to get around the house from the
absolutely,
bedroom. So there is
absolutely.
a big bed in our room, but in hers it's the one that closes. So she has
Hmm.
this empty room to play, do her therapy
Exactly.
and everything. So she has her own open space. It's
Hmm.
not like, oh, I can't get into this room, so I am not going to,
Yeah,
go in
yeah,
there, kind of
exactly.
a
Hmm.
thing. It's
Hmm.
her house. She should be able to go everywhere. Not
Hmm.
just that, now in Mumbai there are so many redevelopment and everything happening with buildings.
Yeah.
I was thinking what I want. I'm like, give me one room less, just make it, accessible. Make some
Hmm.
ramps, and not just for us. There are senior citizens in the building.
Exactly.
Over time it will be beneficial for them
I
as
need a
well.
lift. I need a
Give me
loft.
one room less, I'm fine with that. Just make the building accessible. There could be steps and there could be a ramp.
I
And
swear.
from that point I just remembered, so this week itself I took Tira to the zoo, and
I saw that. Which one
so
was this?
I
The
was
Baikala one.
the Baikala one.
Nice. I should take
So
care there. I didn't know it's improved so much inside. Yeah, it
it
used.
has. They have made a lot of changes, and there
Hmm.
are ramps everywhere. So I
Oh,
was very happy that Tira could see everything. There are ramps everywhere, and we could push her up and down everywhere and show her everything. So I was super excited with all of that,
hmm.
and we had a wonderful day. And I had no idea that we had gone in blind. My thought was I was going to pick up the stroller, and I and Meet were going to pick up a stroller up and down the stairs, and that's how we were going to show her animals. But
Hmm.
we were happy that there were ramps and all. And just 2 days back I saw the video that champions you made it with, and one of the kid
Hmm.
mentioned how
Hmm.
just making a ramp to
Is
add
not
an
enough.
infrastructure is not important. The
Hmm.
incline of the ramp is also important, because from a caregiver's point of view and
Yeah,
pushing her and pulling her, it was okay. But then
right.
I started thinking the ramps were too steep up and
Hmm.
down. So if
Hmm.
Tira someday has to, she'll be on a wheelchair, and if she has to go independently, she's
She
not
won't
going
be
to
able
be able
to.
to do that. So I
Hmm.
never looked at it from that perspective. So even that has changed in my head. So now, just looking at ramps, I won't be like, oh, it's accessible. I'm going to think about it. If
Yeah.
Tira is
Is it going to be
independently, if she's
comfortable?
alone,
Hmm.
will she be able to go to the other side? Is it
Right.
okay for her? Because the slopes were so steep that I'm like, if because I had to
Yeah,
really
I
hold
know.
her tight so that she doesn't slip out of my hands.
Yes,
So just
absolutely.
spending a lot of money on creating ramps and
It's
calling it
not enough.
accessible, it's not
It's not
enough.
enough. I know. People think एक lift डाल दिया काफी है, एक ramp
Correct.
डाल दिया काफी है, but they don't. They're not in the shoes. So I think that is where the feedback mechanism, letting people know that this is not right, because that's what I was telling the children, and they didn't come rehearsed. We were having a candid chat like this, and it was a 2 hour conversation, which I brought down to 30 minutes. So you can imagine how much more they would have spoken and how much more I would have spoken. So anyway, all I was telling them is, while they were, sharing their experiences, did you tell that person that you were having a difficult time,
Hmm.
right? And all of them, if you see that video once again, they said no, we didn't
Yeah.
we didn't tell anybody. And that is the only gap I felt was left in that, beautiful system that, was being shared. Today, our children are, at least the children who are grown up with SMA, they are able to speak, they're able to explain. How many children from other communities can do that,
Correct.
isn't it? But at least our children can, which is a huge, I think it's a
It's a
huge
huge thing. They
boon.
have a voice of their own.
Yeah,
After us,
exactly.
there is somebody who's going to continue this. And looking at
Exactly.
them, there are going to be more people who follow it.
Exactly. And only if they can start voicing up, which is where the gap is. Trust me, but Priyanka, our job is done. I am okay to live Kia and go in the help it, but if I know that Kia can get up one day and say that I'm not okay with this, right? I'm not okay with being, treated somehow. If she can get up and just say that much, I think my job is done, honestly. And like you rightly said, if I don't start speaking, she will never know how to speak. And there is
Correct.
no education system in any part of the world which can transfer or teach them how to do this. So it's
Correct.
maybe somewhere where, and she's always sitting behind me. If you ask me honestly, how our day goes, I take at least three sessions in a day, and Kia and Naira both are listening to this. And I keep
Correct.
telling them that, see, adults, yeah, kids, whoever it is, everybody feels for this topic. Everybody feels likewise. But these are the people who are making changes. They're doing their small things. So should you. No, you shouldn't wait for somebody to come and serve it to you on a platter. That's not going to happen. But great,
Correct.
Priyanka, I think let's keep doing this. Yeah, this is not like the first and last time, like I told you. It's just a journey. And, when you have a journey together, there are different stops where we can get down and have chai. It's like it's like one of those happy rides, right? And let's make it happy. Let's normalize it to such an extent that by talking about it and sharing whatever we can do with our own lives, right? And I think it will become heard so often that people around us will not think we are doing anything abnormal or we are
Different.
very different. And
Yeah.
we are a rare disease community, kind of members of that community, etc. And I think we'll be able to leave behind a better place for children like ours. I think that's all we can do as parents, yeah. And that's what our children probably expect us to do for them, right? Padhai likhai, naam ke vaste, degrees and all of that is great. It doesn't change a thing in the world. It doesn't. So you'll have to be extremely flexible. A lot of things to be unlearned in the whole process. And I've come to a point where I don't plan a lot of things, but you've started utilizing your time to think for things that really can make a difference. Eventually. So
Correct.
you'll identify those pockets eventually. And I don't know much about crowdfunding yet. I don't know how successful this journey is going to be for Kia, but honestly, I think it's taught a lot of things which I'm thankful for. Okay, got me across all of you, which is something that I'm very, very thankful for. So thank you so much for
Same here.
doing this again.
Thank you
Love,
so much for doing this. It felt so good talking to you.
are always. We are they'll say people, as I say, so it's all good. Lots of love to Tira. Okay, I'm waiting for her to be on one of my series soon.
Thank you
Love.
so much for doing this.